Hello everybody, it's Dio here from Fair Gaming, bringing you another Bellwright video. Today we are talking about Tier 1 and specifically feeding your settlement. So when you first start off, you may start off with a diet of just berries and mushrooms with the occasional maybe small meat if you get some from a couple traps. But what we want to get to is we want to improve our soup game where we get to where we're just living off the jams, the mushroom stew, the meat stew, the fine stew, and maybe some cooked meat. And of course our trusted favorite, smoked mushrooms, as desperation may come to it. So what do we need to do to get this all set up? Alright, first we are going to need a trapper's camp. So I recommend having about 0.75 traps per person. I have 10 people, so really I should only be having 8 traps, but I have 9 because I had 3, so I threw down 1 extra. That is the optimum number that I've found for their maintenance. Sometimes it was just seeming that they just wouldn't get to that last trap, so I do recommend about 0.75 per traps per person. So when I have 10, I'm rounding up to 8. And then moving on to the next, we need a forager. So we are going to be gathering, just focus mainly on mushrooms and berries and wood. When you first start off, you'll also want them to find flax and maybe some hemp and stuff like that. But we're going to get away from that. So we only want them finding this. So first start off with just 5 or 10 and then move on to 20. It'll rarely ever get higher than that because of your food supply and what you're cooking. So we want to set that up to do that. You will need to set up a top-up on traps so they keep your trappers constantly out there gathering more small meat for us. So you'll want to make sure you set that up at your simple workbench. You are also going to need a lot of wood for the cauldrons and the smokers. So you'll want to make sure you have a lumberjack spot where you can split some logs into wood. I find that way more useful than using the forager to gather wood. And also, I personally don't like using the lumber camp to cut down young trees. I just don't like that, so I prefer them to gather lots of logs, and then I convert the logs through the lumberjack into wood for my smoker and for my cauldrons. We are going to set up a farm, so we will not be planting. We will not be planting potatoes, turnips, radishes, beetroots, or onions. That is a waste of gold and resources at this point in time. We really don't need them till tier 3, so we are not doing it. And like I said, from our forager, we will no longer be foraging for flax and hemp because we are growing it here. And then we are also going to have a second farm set up where we are growing just sage and garlic because that is an ingredient for our stews. To get the seeds for these, so obviously sage you can find in just about anywhere, so there's sage here, here, and there's a chance to get seeds. Garlic is over to the southeast of Padstow, so it is right here is the closest location. This was a bandit camp, so you will need to clear that or get lucky to go around the outskirts to find the garlic and harvest it here, and then hope to get a seed. If you do not get a seed, you can go to the herbalist. The herbalists do sell garlic seeds, so of course there's the one right there. There's another one over here towards Bradford. I just haven't got there yet. And there's another one right behind Padstow. They sell seeds, so you can pick up the seed there to start your farm. Once you have the traps and the farm set up, you will need cauldrons. So I am rocking 1.5 cauldrons per 5 villagers. So I have 10 people, so I'm rocking the 3 cauldrons here, and they are producing more than enough supplies with everything that we have going on with the traps and the foraging to keep us well supplied in the good stuff. So I was recording the progress of the camp and our food supplies. So this is with zero intervention for myself. I was just letting them passively do it. So as you can see, I have how much food is on hand and then the hours that the food is providing in value and what day number we're in. So as we're progressing through the days, we were increasing our food supply in the week. And then during the winter, of course, it would take a hit. So here we had 550 going into winter. We exited at 450, and then we built it all the way back up to 850, and we exited winter around 540. And I think I ate a lot of it during that point. And then in our first day after winter, we had already built back up to 713 hours worth of food. So the way I have my cauldron set up, so I have 3 of them, like I said, we have them set up with the top up, so we go 10, 20, 30, and 50 of the different varieties that we have, so they are constantly making these stews. I just didn't want to have a single one set at 50, just in case it works where they want to do all of one and then the next to the next. So by doing this with steps, they will constantly be cooking. So we're up to 39 jams. We can already see how well our stews are going here. And when you are setting up your meat stew and your fine stew, make sure that you are selecting the one that is using the small piece of raw meat, as that is the one that is being supplied from the traps. If you're doing hunting yourself, obviously you'll want to add in the regular meat if you're hunting deer in the large pieces if you happen to come across any boars. But as I said, I was letting them manage themselves, so I'm just using the small piece of meat that they get from the traps. The smoker itself is kind of it doesn't get used as often as the cauldrons, only if they happen to have a surplus of meat will they start throwing stuff on the smoker. But if you're doing your own hunting, you can obviously come and just throw it on. They will roast the occasional mushrooms, which is just kind of a catch-22. I have it set up where they won't roast too many, so I have a top of 20. The way they got to 26 is I had like 18 and then they went through 8 more on, and that is just kind of an insurance policy in case I run out of food during winter. Although that, based on the production of everything we got going here, that is never going to happen. The last thing that you'll need to do in order to get your cauldrons running is you're going to need to build a water collection. So as you can see here, we have 2 water collections built, and I do recommend having 2 at back. That might almost build a 3rd one just because we don't have the well yet, because we are in tier 1, just for the ample supply. It hasn't rained much in this game playthrough, so I don't have a huge build-up, but you're going to need probably at least 1 per cauldron here. I've been getting away with 2, but I think if you want to be safe, you'll build the 3 water collections, because obviously you need it for the recipes. As we look here, it requires 1 water as well. As a bonus, I wanted to show you this ridiculously sweet mushroom spot here. So we are just northwest of Padstow, behind this bandit camp, just west of the copper ore spawn here. And there is this sick mushroom patch. So this thing was quite massive, and when I originally came over here and farmed it, I was curious how many were on it. So there's 87 mushrooms in this little patch here that I found. I did not put them into my own storage because I wanted to let them be self-managing, but I was curious how much was there. And there's also a lot more here. So this would make it so you wouldn't really need to farm any mushrooms, and your workers could be working on other things as well. It does take about 2 weeks for the patch to respawn with a good supply, but just even around the corner here, there is even more of them, which makes this a huge valuable spot. Like here is another pretty good spot here, which will probably has, I think this has like another 30 or so here as well, maybe even 50 as we go further up the hill, just to see how big this is. So if we were to harvest all this and take it back, and you have it all stacked in your stockpile, nice and pretty, so it spoils very slowly, you would be able to probably have a 4th cauldron that specifically was spitting out mushroom stews. This brings us to the end of the video. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know below. I'd be happy to answer that. As always, we appreciate your likes, shares, and subscribe, so please click those buttons. And of course, we hope to see you in the next video. So I hope you found it helpful. Hope you are having all the feasts and feeding your people all the glorious foods. And we will see you next time.